back of that Beach Street Valley again. That's going to be the Confluence Divide. It's just got a little cloud sneaking over the top of it there. To the right of that's going to be Mount Cannon. It's got a bunch of, it has a lot of distinct avalanche chutes on that mountain. Kind of looks like an angry bear got a hold of it. That's how I remember it anyway. To the right's going to be Mount Brown, and Mount Brown's the mountain closest to the lodge, Lake McDonald Lodge, that is. Kind of looks like someone snoring with their mouth open to me. That's how I remember it anyway. To the right of that, there's going to be a little peak, just slightly starting to peek over at it. That's going to be a little Matterhorn. To the right of Little Matterhorn, it's got a bunch of, you can actually see a few snowfields up there. That's going to be Mount Edwards, and to the right of Mount Edwards is going to be Mount Gunsight. Then this ridgeline that we're headed directly towards is going to be known as Snyder's Ridge. And I think it's only fair to you guys that since I named off the mountains to give you a few awesome mountain stories to go with some of those peaks.
Yes.
So you have Mount Stanton. This mountain, let me back up. So let's back up in time to the mid-1800s when the Great Northern Railway was being built in this valley. So in the 1850s, 1860s or so, this man's nickname was Bad Rock Stanton, and his wife Lottie Stanton. Bad Rock Stanton had quite the reputation for being the formidable mountain climber and explorer in this area. So they were employed by the railroad, and on a couple of their days off, they decided that they were going to go mountain climbing together as husband and wife. So they chose that mountain with the Y-shaped avalanche chute, Mount Stanton again. Back in the day, it didn't have a name. It was just one of the mountains of this valley. So anyway, they were going to set out to climb, and on the day of the climb, Bad Rock actually made his wife Lottie Stanton stay behind for the camp. And that's because he said that she was too inexperienced and he didn't want her to get hurt or even killed on this. So they got into a long argument, and he just left without her. She was, of course, devastated and angry because she had had just as much experience as her husband and accompanied him the whole way west working on the railroad. He's doing the same work as him. And they had been on hundreds of other adventures together. But for some reason, Bad Rock just didn't want her to join him to the summit. So Bad Rock had the idea that he was going to climb this mountain and be the first person to do so and have it be named Bad Rock Mountain. Which, to be fair, Bad Rock's a pretty sweet name, so I totally understand why he'd want to do that. But that's not what happened. So Bad Rock went up and over Howes Ridge and up the backside of Mount Stanton, and he made it to the top. And when he made it to the top, he was furious. He was furious. Because he was the first man to make it to the top. And that's technically true. Because Lottie Stanton beat him up there. She did so by going directly up that Y-shaped avalanche chute. Even though there was not snow on the avalanche chute this time, it's still extremely dangerous as it's made primarily of extremely loose sedimentary rock. By going up that Y-shaped avalanche chute, she shaved off about 5 hours or so from her adventure. And because of that, she actually made it to the top, set up a base camp for herself, and just waited. So that mountain's going to be known as Mount Stanton to honor Lottie Stanton and Mount Bad Rock. Because of course, once that mountain story made news or headlines here in this valley, where the settlers are actually settling this area, they loved that story so much they started calling the mountain Mount Stanton. So that mountain was just officially named after Lottie Stanton and not Bad Rock. Behind that mountain is going to be Mount Bott. So Mount Bott, Mr. Bott, he was actually a lawyer from Chicago, Illinois, who was one of the biggest lobbyists for having this park actually be established at the time. Once the park was actually open to the public, or officially established, I should say, on May 11th of 1910, he and 5 other people made up the first 6 park rangers here on the west side of the park. He worked from the day the park opened until the late 1930s, when his old age just simply wouldn't allow him to work outdoors any longer. So that mountain is actually named in his honor. Behind that mountain is going to be known as Mount McPartland. Pretty cool little story about Mount McPartland. It's kind of a sad one though. So George McPartland and his mining partner, Libby Collins, they were investors and they had invested in opening a few mines further west, more in California. Well, they had found gold in those mines, so suddenly they were rich, and going 50-50 on this split, they decided to celebrate. Once word actually got back to them, this was in the month of November in the year 1929. So they were having a lot to drink at the Lake McDonald Lodge. They actually got in a rowboat. Libby Collins bought a final bottle of whiskey for them to take back to the camp and enjoy. And they were so happy and so excited because they literally struck gold. They were going to be rich beyond their wildest dreams. Well, George McPartland was rowing that rowboat, and Libby Collins was having some of that whiskey bottle that she had bought for the lodge to take with him. George McPartland decided he really wanted some whiskey, so he reached for it, knocked the rowboat over, as in the water was freezing again in the month of January. George McPartland, they both went into shock, and George McPartland actually sunk beneath the wave right before her eyes. And Libby Collins managed to make it out of the boat because she was lucky enough to be saved by a steamship that just happened to be patrolling the area that night. They were actually testing their brand new engine to make sure it was going to be working in terms of operation for the lodge. So she was extremely lucky in that sense. The next day, they had rescue boats go out and search the area for months trying to find George McPartland's body, but it was never found. He is actually the first man to ever officially drown here in Glacier National Park. So they named that mountain after George McPartland in his honor.